California Medical Board not to support SB 276. The California Medical Board has investigated 153 medical exemptions and found 0 cases of fraud thus far. SB 276 addresses a process that does not exist, infringes on patient and consumer privacy, and is wrong recognition. The California Medical Board, please, I call the California Medical Board to take over to SB 276. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next is from Tammy Resendez. Your line is open, ma'am.
Hi, I'm asking that the California Medical Board join the 2 co-authors of SB 277, Senator Stone and Senator Allen, and state and oppose SB 276 along with the American Physicians and Surgeons, who also oppose the SB 276. I have a son who had kidney failure, seizures, speech delay, and autoimmune, and he would not qualify for a medical exemption. My exemption is not paid. I saw a doctor, we did the right question. Please follow the line for Senator Tam. Thank you, and I oppose SB 276.
One moment, please. Our next is from Shannon Winsenreed. Your line is open.
Hi, thank you. As a parent, I feel like politicians are ignoring our concerns, and statistics show an increase in anxiety and depression, autoimmune diseases. If this bill isn't protecting the doctor-patient relationship, the motives are questionable and definitely do not follow the oath of do no harm. The pharmaceutical companies have no accountability with vaccines, and without accountability, there's great abuse of power. And I ask you guys to question what the objective is here when we're seeing injuries.
Thank you. Ashley Reeves, your line is open.
Hi, my name is Ashley Reed. I'm a parent of 2. My oldest is vastly injured, and we have gone to 5 different specialists. One, I've seen my 33 years of life with my son, all of which, or most of which, told me that my son needed a medical exemption, but they would not provide it for him for fear of repercussions from the medical facilities that they worked at. My son's immunologist finally had the courage to write my son's medical exemption that would not qualify under this new law. It's been a hardship on my family and my son.
Thank you. Christine Cloud, your line is open.
Thank you. I'm a 4th generation native to California and an attorney. According to Ms. Simone and the legislative analysis applied to this board, if the reason you're considering supporting this bill is because it's a huge problem that you need to access to medical records to investigate doctors to ensure they're following the appropriate standard of care, I don't believe that this bill helps you. Removing a patient's right to opt out of the release of medical records creates a constitutional law problem that could be on case law in California and the Ninth Circuit are not likely to stay alive. California has consistently protected patients' rights and the California Constitution.
Thank you. Allison Ferrero, your line is open.
My name is Allison Ferrero. I wanted to ask medical board a question. Is the medical board willing to be liable for this new license supporting SB 276? In 2016, we received 59,117 reported adverse events. The Health and Human Services Department funded a health exposure study to assess the data and found Verity capturing less than 1% of vaccine adverse events. 95% of those events did not qualify for a medical exemption. Based on this study, listeners in 2016, it was really 5,911,700 adverse events and 46,200 deaths.
Thank you. Michelle Sabino, your line is now open.
And yes, I'm a medical speech pathologist. I'm a parent of a daughter who suffered 16 seizures at 2 months of age immediately following DCAP. Both my mother and my sister were diagnosed with debilitating autoimmune diseases in their 20s. A vote in favor of this bill relinquishes the power of the medical board over 0.7% of medical exemptions of the 40 million Californians. Furthermore, you will marginalize people of color and those of lower socioeconomic status who also suffer from lower immune systems. Thank you.
Thank you. Eric Andrus, your line is open.
What people forget is that not vaccinating puts other people in danger and proliferates disease. I am in support of this bill except for the part that puts CDPH in charge. They are already overworked and understaffed. They're going to be flooded with these applications for exclusion, especially in the beginning, and they're going to end up giving even less attention to the important cases that come in from consumers who are put in danger. CDPH cannot be put in charge of this program, and on that point alone, you should ask for an amendment.
Thank you. Nicole Wallace, your line is now open.
Hi, I've been in practice, I'm a chiropractor for 20 years, and I understand the importance of family history anytime I meet with a patient. And my concern is that this bill will be taking that away, that's just one part. And that a doctor won't be able to make an informed decision with their patients. So I strongly oppose this bill. And one more thing is, when I did get medical exemptions from my children, I had to get medical records from my grandmother. She already died. She had bulbous hypothyroid, and it just takes a lot of work to get these.
I didn't hear that. I apologize. Mary Collin, your line is open.
Hi, I just want to state first of all that this is my children, not the state's. Medical decisions should be between the parent and the doctor, not the state. Medical board on the panel, I just ask you to consider, are you going to be able to live with yourself seeing that there's even an increase in more vaccine-injured children, or an increase in SIDS or deaths to the children being forced to get vaccinated? Because SB 276 contradicts what SB 277 was written for, and it's nearly going to be impossible for people to get a medical exemption. I ask you to please approve this.
Thank you. Cheryl Mercer, your line is open.
Hi, I oppose SB 276, and I oppose the government coming between me and my child and her doctor.
Yeah.
Furthermore, I would like to file an official complaint with the board against Dr. Pan for attempting to practice medicine and force a medical treatment on my child whom he has never
It's
examined.
disgusting.
I encourage
That's
the
why we have to be
board
here.
to oppose SB 276. Thank you.
Thank you, Kyla. Wuthern Hall, your line is open.
All of this is gonna end up in the fucking Supreme Court
Hi, thank
someday.
you so much for listening.
You know what I mean?
I'm a
Like-
concerned mother of a medically diagnosed child, also an aunt of a vaccine-injured child. I'm getting you to request the California
It's just gonna get worse and worse, and more kids are gonna get fucked up, and more parents are gonna get pissed off, and it's not gonna like go away.
People to their care. Please protect and honor their privacy, their right to education, and their relationship that we share with our trusted doctors. This is my utmost priority, but additionally, I do have concerns for the incredible cost of this bill to taxpayers in this state. Thank you.
Thank you, Shannon Summers, your line is open.
Yes, hi. I am a concerned parent of 3 children. Coercion of a medical procedure with privilege of harm is wrong. The medical board should see that SB 276 eliminates the privacy of doctor-patient relationship. It takes away our remaining right to medical exemption against a medical procedure with privilege being forced on our children. I am not okay with this government overreach. It violates the rights of medical treatment and it bypasses the one consent, which goes against federal law. Coercion is
Thank you, Jessica Kirkendall, your line is open.
Untainted lines.
Hi, I'm a medical research professional and concerned parent. This is still a government official who doesn't see a patient will make medical decisions instead of doctors making decisions after thorough review and examination of a patient. Severe reactions such as seizures, stroke, embolism, paralysis, permanent nerve damage will not qualify as an exemption under this bill. While 0.7% of children using targeted, which will cost more than $10 million annually to track and manage the problem that doesn't exist. Let's not throw into a medicine that.
Thank you, Catherine Proventhal, your line is open.
Yes, hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. My name is Catherine Proventhal. I am a healthcare practitioner here in California and newly American citizen. Also, SB 276 is an imposition on the doctor-patient relationship and an infringement on patient confidentiality. I strongly oppose to SB 276. Please listen to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Miriam Levin, your line is open now.
Hi, my name is Miriam. I'm a concerned parent. I'm calling to oppose this bill for many of the reasons that have already been stated. The medical board itself has done many investigations, over 153 have found 0 cases of fraud, but I wonder what type of investigations are being done on Senator Pan and the other authors of this bill, echoing David Shirazi's statement. regarding the, financial ties that Senator Pan.
Thank you, Christy Sepulveda Burchett. Your line is open, ma'am.
Hi, I'd like to ask the Medical Board of California to stay neutral on SB 276. Don't let a government bureaucrat that's never met the patient come between the patient and the physician. Thank you.
Thank you. Myrna Shada, your line is now open.
Yes, hi, I would like to comment, even though our priority is to keep our children and keeping their information private from the state, which is unnecessary already, the money that we've already lost from paying out injured families of $4 billion since we're covering lawsuits because the manufacturer is not responsible for their own products. We are trying to force these products on our children. Many people who have already left our school system, already left our state, that's already impacting us financially.
Thank you. Sarantine Gordon, your line is open.
Thank you. My name is Serenity Gordon. I'm a parent of 2 vaccine-injured children and 1 medically fragile child. I've been a home health nurse for other medically fragile children for over 14 years. This has caused us to have an IEP for 2 of my children, multiple therapies, and their medical exemptions would be revoked. I now have to stay at home with my children that are vaccine injured, and it is a financial burden for our family. Our doctor-patient relationship is private, and this is a HIPAA violation. I will not comply with this. I strongly oppose SB 276. Thank you.
And thank you. Catherine Cicerelli, your line is open.
Thank you so much for hearing us today. I appreciate the medical board's challenges in investigating, but I implore you not to take this easily out. We need you to stay true to your mission and protect the healthcare consumers and our children. The deck is already stacked against patients. This bill will legally enforce 1 point of 18 of standard of care points and will disproportionately and negatively impact the patient. Other points not currently well practiced include the disclosure of risks and benefits of vaccines and reporting to bears. As mentioned, the strict implementation of CDC contraindications.
Thank you. Courtney Lackey, your line is open.
My name is Courtney Lackey with SCB for Parental Rights. We represent thousands of families throughout California. We implore you to oppose SB 276. There have been 0 fraudulent medical exemptions found. Please stand against the misinformation that Senator Pan has inundated the legislature with. Even Senator Ben Allen, co-author of SB 277, opposes this bill. SB 276 infringes on the sanctity of the doctor-patient relationship, consumer privacy, and...
Thank you. Severin Zivilic, your line is open.
She didn't even get a warning.
Severin Zivilic, please check your mute button. Your line is open.
Yes, thank you. I'm Seven Zivelich. I'm a PhD neuroscientist, and I oppose the current bill. Please leave to the professionals and family members that have spoken previously. You are our only hope at this point. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next from Lori James. Your line is open, ma'am.
Yes. I would just like to say that in actuality, this is most definitely a deep violation of the private and confidential doctor-patient relationship that we all respect and hold dear. And in my opinion, the state of California has no right to interfere with this relationship in making medical decisions in any way for us regarding any medical issue, nor is there a need to impose this on it. I implore you not to support this proposed legislation that has unfortunately and suddenly come before us.
Thank you. Shannon Farmer, your line is open, ma'am.
Hi, I represent many families across SoCal and military families across the country who are stationed in our state and could be stationed here. The CDC acknowledges that it does not determine medical exemptions, that doctors do, not a public official. We're asking you to do the same. You are the final decision on if a doctor is creating fraud. We want the medical professionals to make a decision as doctors, not a public official, who has no medical history or relationship with our families. Do not support this bill.
Thank you. Shauna Campbell, your line is open. Shauna Campbell?
Thank you so much for hearing me today. I want to acknowledge the fear on both sides. Everyone wants the best for their children and community, which requires balancing personal health with community health. I urge you to do your due diligence and look at the data. Please do not be consumed with the fear around you. We do not need forceful initiatives. Prior bills have already increased vaccine rates. California has a high vaccine compliance rate. Medical exemptions are very low. I want doctors, not public health officials, balancing the risks and benefits for each individual family. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Chelsea Tahan, your line is open.
Hello, I'm calling as a concerned parent. I'm calling in opposition to SB 276. If this bill is passed, 95% of the current medical exemptions will be nullified. Because every single doctor who has been investigated for their fraudulent medical exemptions has been cleared, the children protected by these exemptions can be left out in the cold. And you refuse basic rights up to education. I urge you to keep the concerns of these residents of California speaking today and do not back this bill.
Thank you. Amy Bowen, your line is open.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to ask a quick question. Do any of you on this board have a vaccine-injured child, and just speak about that? Because if the answer is no, have you listened to all the parents who do? They know firsthand what it means to have a medically fragile child and what the impact of this bill will be. We would be left unprotected by the state as education and medical rights are stripped away from us. This bill gives more authority to an unlicensed government health official rather than a licensed doctor. And I invite you to investigate the pharmaceutical companies and hold them accountable.
Thank you. Matt Allen, your line is open now.
Yes, I urge the board to move in opposition of SB 276. Do not allow California to violate my privacy rights protected by HIPAA. I also had a negative reaction to penicillin, and I was told by my doctor, don't ever take that again. My son had a negative reaction to a vaccine, and now he's being told that he has to continue taking them if this were to pass. I urge the board to support the autonomy of the doctors that they certify themselves, and to use the term fraud as a reason to start this.
Thank you. Frank Sire, your line is open.
Why would the medical board support a bill that creates an adversarial relationship between the board and its members? Why support a bill for which proper cost analysis and impact on medical legislation has not been fully vetted? Why would the board support a bill that defines the role of a physician in the care of their patients, physicians that your peers and use to be an honest partner in supporting them and providing care for their patients? Why would the board support a bill that puts you in direct opposition to term on members whom it has sworn to represent? Why these doctors and their patients say less qualified to receive the same consideration as all physicians in the state of California? Are you members of the board politicians or?
Thank you. Amy Graziano, your line is open now.
Yes, thank you. I'm a vaccine-injured parent. My son is vaccine injured. He suffered a seizure after vaccination. He and my daughter both will not be protected under SB 276. I wanted to point out that Mississippi and West Virginia, the two states that have the strictest vaccination laws, also have the highest infant mortality rate. Please do not let California follow suit. Please vote in opposition.
Thank you. Giselle Schultz, your line is now open.
Hi, I'm a mental health provider for LA County Department of Mental Health and a parent of 2 young children. I strongly oppose SB 276 as it takes away our privacy, our right to education, doctor-patient relationship. And what's going to happen with all these kids who stop going to school and schools start closing due to no funding because of lowered attendance? I represent a lot of moms, a lot of vaccine-injured parents and children with the Yellow Vest Mamas, and we will not comply.
Thank you. Jenny Tedesco, your line is now open.
Just like the Tylenol, aspirin, or any other prescribed medication, there are always some who are susceptible to serious side effects. We're just asking that we stay on the cutting edge of science and make sure this small group of children are protected while we are still maintaining that 95% and higher herd immunity. Vaccines have never been tested or compared to a double-blind placebo. Therefore, Big Pharma can never prove they are truly safe for every child. Let's take a look at Gardasil. Out of the 590 Gardasil vaccines that were tested versus the Lumen group, shows cause injuries. We need.
Thank you. Nicole Hoffmaster, your line is now open.
Hi, I just want to say thanks for listening
us, and thanks to all the parents who sat on here for this long to voice their opinion. SB 277 was passed to protect medically fragile children, and we've got 0.7% of kids with these medical exemptions, and now we're going to go after those medically fragile kids that we were needing to protect in the first place. It just does not make sense to spend that kind of money to go after the 0.7%. Also, I don't think it's a surprise that the medical exemptions went up. Thank you. Nick Johansson, your line is open.
Yes, I asked you to look at the recent statement, sworn affidavit by Dr. Andrew Zimmerman. Look into William Thompson, CDC whistleblower, proving fraud with the MMR. If this passes, what actually it says to the patients is absolutely undeniable. You don't trust the doctors, and neither should we. I ask a no vote.
Thank you. Our next line from Brittany Camerata. Your line is open.
Thank you. I am the mother of a vaccine-injured child, and currently my son has an IEP and is in special needs 5 days a week. With the autism rates and special needs rates raising exponentially, I wonder for myself as a working mom and how many working moms are going to have to quit their jobs to be at home, to homeschool their children, what that will do to the economy. And we are so concerned about the financial status of where California lies. When do we look at what it takes to have a mom?
Thank you. Carrie Hill, your line is open.
Hi, I'm a vaccine injured and also with an autoimmune disease. Both of my kids are medically fragile. I work for a school district here in California. If this bill does go through, my kids will not be able to stay in school and I will lose my job. Like a lot of Californians, I urge you to oppose SB 276. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next line from Catherine Terziuk. Your line's open, ma'am.
Thank you for listening to us. The doctor-patient privacy and relationship should remain protected, and it's not given to the bureaucratic official at the health office who will make medical decisions on our behalf and on behalf of the doctors that we trust. This bill is very intrusive and communist attempts to rule the people, and it also violates the HIPAA. Thank you. And I oppose.
Thank you. Tanya Wills, your line is open.
Thank you. This has costly implications, not just for our doctors and the money that they will have to spend to fight these challenges that have been really unmerited in the end, but to the state of California, because people are actually leaving the state. People are having to withdraw their children from public schools. I have personal knowledge of this, and there may potentially even be lawsuits against the medical board if they choose to move forward on this, because it's a waste of our resources. So I'm really asking you to stand against it and to really listen and support the safety and health, but also avoid it.
Thank you. Daniel Hampton, your line is open.
Hi, I'm looking at a letter dated April 10th, 2019 from the West Virginia for Freedom of Health. They indicate that in Senator Ham's recent press conference, he indicated that SB 276 has been modeled after the West Virginia vaccine law, which seems to be touted as the gold standard for public health. What he did not share is that many concerned West Virginians have been working to amend the state's current vaccine law and allow physicians the right to practice medicine without the bureaucratic oversight of a state immunization officer. They've indicated that they had a hearing on September 28th that indicated...
Thank you. Linda Garrity, your line is open.
Yes, I'd like to just quote directly from the Journal of Internal Medicine. Physicians' roles as patient advocates mean they must attend to the needs of individual patients who may be exceptions to the rule or otherwise have special needs. As patient advocates, physicians must ensure that policies and procedures put in place that threaten the ability of individual care do not go unchecked. Since this power may be beyond the capacity of the individual physicians, it may require an organization at the level of the whole profession. California Medical Board is asking you to make sure the doctor-patient relationship and trust is not undermined. Thank you.
Thank you. Amanda Yamamoto, your line is open.
Hi, thank you. I sent a tweet to CDC and said, under MMR, who should get this vaccine according to their website has a parent, brother, or sister with a history of immune system problems.
Does a parent with IgA nephropathy fall into this category? They replied, and I quote, "You should talk with your doctor about your family member's specific condition and your personal health." That is directly from the CDC.
Mm-hmm.
The CDC also states that their contraindications and precautions are just guidelines. They are not written in stone, and it is up to the doctor to take into account the entire history and medical well-being of their patients.
Now, Hannah Halftrack, your line is open.
Hi, I'm just a parent. This bill would void my daughter's medical exemption due to the way it is worded. I had an extremely difficult time finding a doctor willing to write a medical exemption for her to begin with, despite having a family history of vaccine reactions. I would also like to point out that if we allow the government, not our doctors, to dictate just one medical decision, this could become a very slippery slope. Don't you trust your doctors? I urge you not to support SB 276, since it has a very small percentage of California's medically fragile children. Thank you.
Thank you. Sarah Lopez, your line is open.
Yes, hi, good afternoon. I just wanted to thank you all for listening to us. And I'm calling as a mother of a vaccine-injured child who has been on an IUD since kindergarten. My other son's immune system has taken a crash since he was 4, and we're finally starting to get into where he doesn't literally have mucus coming out of his face every day. I urge you to please not support SB 276 because it will force so many families and children out of school and out of the state because he will not comply with this law. So I urge you to please either amend it significantly or please kill it. Thank you so much.
Amanda Carrion, your line is open.
Hi, my name is Amanda, and I'm a mother of 2. One of my kids has a temporary medical exemption that we obtained so that he could enter school. We are not anti-vaccine. This bill is not anti-vaccine versus pro-vaccine. We trust and admire our pediatrician's recommendations. You need to keep exemptions in the hands of the physicians and not a state worker who has no right to determine if my son should be denied or approved for his exemption. Do no harm. I urge you to vote no and oppose this bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Amy Colburn, your line is open.
Please read my letter in its entirety before voting on this agenda item. I communicated directly with the CDC regarding language in this bill. A medical doctor at the CDC informed me. CDC does not determine medical exemptions. We define contraindications. It is the medical provider's prerogative to determine whether the list of conditions can be broader to define medical exemptions. I strongly urge the board to oppose SB 276 as it is destructive to the physician-patient relationship, inappropriately utilizes CDC guidelines intended for use by the physician, and seeks.
Thank you. Kristen Castro, your line is open.
Hi, my daughter nearly lost her life to infantile spasms after routine vaccine. If this bill passes for medical exemption, would be revoked due to the narrow CDC guidelines, as well as her siblings due to our family history. If you are a parent, I ask, would you roll the dice on your other children, knowing you witnessed one almost suffer and die? We must protect the doctor-patient relationship, and I strongly ask that you oppose this bill and not support any future amendments that will risk these children's lives. Thank you.
Thank you. Alyssa Song, your line is open.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Dr. Lisa Song, and I'm a California licensed board-certified provider practice education. I'm vaccine to my office, and I believe in vaccines, but my ability to help a parent navigate is very much in the topic and develop a vaccine plan that will work for them and for the public health is severely limited if the state is allowed to come into my private office and make my medical decisions for my patients. This bill is a slippery slope in taking away physicians' clinical judgment and medical decision-making power. Strongly opposed SB 276.
Thank you. Kathy Kane, your line is now open.
Hi, hopefully you've heard enough to say no. I oppose SB 276. I am an RN. Nothing in this bill falls under evidence-based practice and do no harm. There's nothing right about it. Hopefully the medical board does the right thing. It will create a huge distrust of the medical profession if the board does not oppose SB 276. Looking forward to being able to trust and follow you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next is from Kristen Moulton. Your line is open.
Kristen Moulton.
Hi. Thanks so much for taking the call today. I'm a mother and lifelong resident of California. My child has a medical exemption and would not qualify for one under the proposed bill. And I'd like to remind the medical board that the majority of children who have medical exemptions have been vaccinated before. It's not like they're part of this huge unpopulated vaccination. They're the immunocompromised ones who paid the ultimate price and now need to be protected and deserve that protection. And I'd like them to take a firm stance against SB 276. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, Tony DeMattias, your line is open.
Yes, hi, I am a mother, and I strongly oppose SB 276. It goes against people's right and freedom of choice. We should be able to decide with our doctors and physicians what's right for our children. It's not fair for them to be taken out and to not have the experience in school, the education that other children have. Non-vaccinated children or children that have a vaccine injury and no longer will have these medical exemptions are putting far more people in harm than the 0.7% of medical exemptions right now. I strongly oppose SB 276. Thank you for listening today.
Thank you. Our next line is from Christine Landers. Your line is open.
Hi,
Can you come on Friday to the
who was appalled by the lack of testing required for vaccines. Please oppose SB 276 and allow parents to have informed consent. This bill will set catastrophic precedent for our state and the nation in regards to medical freedom and equal access to care. I urge the board to have the integrity to protect our youth and to not be swayed like politicians by money from the pharmaceutical industry. Think of your family. Think of your children. Thank you for your time and for taking a no position.
Thank you. Our next is from Christina Hildebrand. Your line is open.
Sorry, I was on mute. Hi, this is Christina Hildebrand from A Voice for Choice Advocacy. I would ask the medical board, please, before you vote on this today, to ask yourselves how many doctors have been infringed upon and how many have you not been able to subpoena the records from? There are 140,000 licensed physicians in the state of California, and you are going after only a few. I'd also say that you are voting yes on one portion of this bill to be able to get access to those medical records. This bill, as you've heard, goes much, much further than that, and you take the whole bill when you support it into consideration and not just the one piece that you are interested in. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, Alma Hart, your line is open.
Hi, yes, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
I am a Philippines veteran and the mother to a 1-year-old who will be negatively impacted if this bill passes. This bill violates Dr. Pick's religious because it's also unconstitutional. And even if this bill passes, I will not comply and will be forced to leave the state. I strongly oppose SB 276 and urge you to oppose it too. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, Catherine Robbie, your line is open.
I oppose SB 276, vaccines with daughter and history of familial adverse reactions. Vaccines are determined to be unavoidably unsafe and they cause injury. We all want to protect our children by supporting 276 to undermine Californians' rights, allow doctors to do their job, and protect our children that need the medical exemptions. Your job is to protect medical consumers. Most of the manufacturer of the MMR is currently under litigation for fraud. Their vaccines are dangerous. They've been found guilty of fraud for their buyout drugs. So what would you think?
Thank you. Now, Christina Lopez, your line is open.
Hi, yes, I also wanted to add that this bill indicates that the California Medical Board is incapable of governing its physicians. So essentially, you would be agreeing, according to Senator Khan, that you cannot do your job if you do not oppose this bill. This bill is based on allegations from Facebook comments, as Senator Khan stated at the Public Health Committee hearing. With his reputation of abridging California's medical freedom, stating false information, and running from his constituents, I ask that you do not support Senator Khan's bill SB 276 and protect the oath of medical doctors. First, do no harm.
Thank you. Now, Laura Adams, your line is open.
My name is Laura Adams. I strongly oppose 276, and I urge you to do too.
How can the state require the statement, please consult your doctor prior to any other health-related topic, including exercise, yet not for vaccines, which is a pharmaceutical product? I urge you to fact check Senator Pan. I urge you to understand that SB 277 was only written into law because of Family History Amendment. Aspen Allen. I'm concerned about narrowing the exemption qualifications.
Thank you. Now, Crystal Flores, your line is open.
Hi, I'm a mother of 2 vaccine-injured children, and according to the California Department of Public Health, vaccination rates are 95.1% for kindergarten entry in California, including 96.4% for DTaP, 96.8% for polio, 96.9% for MMR, 97.6% for Hep B, and 98.2% for varicella. This is well above the 95% rates the state has declared it needed for vaccine-induced herd immunity. What danger is Senator Pan referring to? Thank you. I oppose SB 276.
Thank you. Now, Jamie Hartel, your line is open.
Hi, thanks so much. I'm calling today to urge the California Medical Board to oppose SB 276 and retain their autonomy and authority as medical professionals. I'm a UCLA student, a registered Democrat, and I'm also the mother of a vaccine-injured child. Vaccine-injured children and their families are a marginalized group that need your protection. Please oppose SB 276. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next from Sierra Largent, your line is open now.
Hi, my name is Sierra Largent, and I'm concerned that shares a rare hereditary autoimmune disease. I strongly oppose 276 because, sorry, that's all.
Thank you very much. And adhering to guidelines, our last question today, our last comment from Vivian Barton, your line is open, ma'am.
Hello, as a mother of 2 medically fragile children that have both experienced negative vaccine reactions, I highly oppose this bill. This is a massive overreach based on Pan's life, and we need to protect our doctor-patient relationship. Furthermore, it is fiscally irresponsible to spend $10 million in state money every year to restrict the rights of 0.07 of California's most vulnerable school children. Thank you.
Thank you. And now I do need to turn the call back over to our presenters. Thank you.
Okay, so we have a support position on SB 276. We have a second. We've heard a lot of comments. Do any of the members have any comments before we go to the roll call?
Denise, this is Randy Inglewood. Hear me?
Yes.
I withdraw my second. Reconsider it.
Okay, are you putting something on the table?
I am not.
Does anyone else? Do you have a second from someone else?
This is Lori. I have some feedback. Based on the public comment, I'm of the opinion that I think we need an amendment, and so I'd be open to supporting with an amendment and open to dialogue with the board in terms of what could be a viable amendment that finds some middle ground.
Do you have any board members that have recommendations for an amendment to SB 276?
Randy, again, I do have some concerns actually about how much time it would take to actually get all this information. But I'm still rooting out. I just was impressed by the amount of concern from the public. And I thought I had decided before I came in, but I've gotten some literature that makes me rethink it. I don't have a specific recommendation for an amendment, however. But I'm concerned enough about it to take the second away from it.
we have any comments from any other members? We have a second to what's on the table, which is a support position. Or do we have recommended language for an amendment?
This is David. I would also supporting if amended, and the amendment would go to looking again at the narrowing of reasons for an exemption that's apparently in the current bill.
This is Lori. With respect to an amendment, I felt that the public brought up, different viewpoints about vaccine injuries, previous history, family history, and perhaps genetic predisposition supported by genetic testing. I know those are some terms we could put in there so that it's not just limited to CDC guidelines alone.
Okay. Hi, this is Michelle Bolot, and I will echo Dr. Hawkins' point of view. I am most concerned of the statement or the reporting of our officer, the removal of the physician and doctor relationship. I am also would like to see more information on epigenetics. There are definite areas within communities of color that are concerned about these issues, and I think that the public raised some very important things, very important. The CDC does provide guidelines, and for those that are physicians in the group, you're very well aware that it's the pediatricians, the family physicians, that are providing a large majority of these vaccines to children. And I would be looking to our research scientists, to those areas that are going to be informing us of what we can call the true north. And if the true north are those things and those issues that, even if when you look at a family history and you look at epigenetics, where is that information? And again, where is that true north? So, I having been in public health for a long time, I am a huge supporter of vaccines. I believe in vaccines. I understand the issues of herd immunity. But the issues that were raised here are concerning enough for a deeper dive. And I think that I would like to see a broader discussion, and I would support I would want to see things amended here, and I don't unfortunately have a list to be able to give you for that. But it is because there are some concerns that are definitely raised here that I think the list is large.
Are there any members that have any other comments?
Is Dr. Yip? I'm just going to support it because there's so many amendment changes. For example, the physician still needs to be advised, as well as getting informed consent and educate the parents or guardian whether vaccination is suitable for the children. The second, I do have concern with having a state officer to do the exemption, not knowing who they are, how they train, and how broad the spectrum they look at it. For example, CDC guidelines are so restricted as the bill put on the paper. And the other issue is also the data collected that the school can access who are the children that are exempt, etc. And that, again, I think needs to be really carefully worked out because those can be leaked out in patient privacy. I think we do want to have the authority to subpoena medical record, as right now we do have a problem. We read story that some schools suspect certain physicians are writing a lot of exemption with no good cause. And our hands are tied because we cannot get those records how to subpoena record within the physician that builds those exemptions, rather than blanket have a state officers or officers locally to give exemptions. So I'm not sure how many amendments you've made in order to have this bill so-called support the amendment. You pretty much like change the whole bill. So
exactly.
Thank you.
Amen.
Are there any other members with comments?
Denise, I think we got support, no second. We got multiple board members talked about some kind of amendment, and one board member talked about we don't know what the amendments are. I just want to find out where we are. So I was wondering if it's like, if it is that way, why not take a neutral position for the board? Because nobody is there to oppose, I will hear that. Nobody is there to fully support. So I'm just curious.
Jennifer?
Well, I mean, so if we take a supportive amended position, I actually need to have the amendments, because I can't go to the author's office and say we support if you make amendments, but we don't have amendments. And so, I mean, our options, like I think you just went over them, it's either you support, we have amendments, so we take supportive amended, neutral, I mean, I guess that's an option, or I don't think we're at the point of opposing, but I mean, Dr. Gibb brought up some things that just the premise of the bill, and so, I mean, we can't support or amend if we don't agree with the premise of the bill. So, what do you think, Kim?
Again, it sounds like from the discussion that's happening that I believe that individuals believe that the CDC guidelines are too narrow, is what I'm hearing from most members. So we could go back and support if amend to include some other options for outside of the CDC guidelines. I heard a couple suggestions for that. That might be something that you want to entertain.
Can we make a motion that we support the idea of vaccination, and we support the idea of this bill, but we have reservations about the Department of Public Health involvement, and we have reservations about the exemption.
Well, again, as Jennifer said, I think we really need specific amendments, so that'll be hard to do unless you just supported it in concept with the medical board section of it. So you really do need specific amendments that we could give to Dr. Pan's office, the author's office, to make the changes.
This is David. I would second Dr. Gadanaga's motion to take a neutral position, and I'd add that we form a committee to consider amendments.
Okay, so since there was no second on the first motion, if I'm not hearing any on a support, since Dr. Hawkins withdrew his, then we would move to that motion would fall away. And then we would move to Dr. Ganadev. I didn't hear you make a motion, but is that your motion to move?
No, I have, yes, so I'm just doing ideas because, otherwise I said I make a motion, so I haven't done that yet. So you have, just for the board discussion, there are two things. One, we can take a neutral with this idea. And the second one is support in concept, especially what is pertains to medical board, the medical records, which we always support anyway. The rest, I think where we are stuck, it looks like, is the narrowness of the exemptions in the CDC guidelines. And we don't have what the amendment would be, how we can change it. So that means we can't make a motion to support if amended. So we have two options. I just want to hear about either support the concept or take a neutral position. That's what I think, and I'll be allowed to get the other people's opinion before any motion comes up.
This is David again. I would move that we support in concept.
And again, is that support in concept for the portions allowing the medical board to obtain the records, and support in concept I'm trying to look at this, the issues in the bill, with the exceptions of the CDC guidelines being too narrow, and what was the other issue? Sorry. And the CDPH review.
So we support the concept of the CDPH review? I mean, because I've heard some concerns with that, so I just want to be clear.
They're not supporting that part of it. That's what they have problems with, right?
This is Lori. What timeline are we working against in terms of giving a position?
I mean, so we're in, let's see, almost June, and so now everything's starting to go through the second house, and so our next board meeting though is until the beginning of August, and that's only basically 1 month left of session, right? And so that basically gives me time to get a letter to the governor's office if we take a different position there when the bill goes to them. So it's not gonna give me, I mean, I can still continue to work with the author's office, but I have to be clear on like what we're supporting the concept of, because when I go to hearing to testify, I need to be able to clearly say what concepts we're supporting. So, I mean, I think all the board members agree you support the concept of getting us the information we need to be able to do our investigations, but.
And it sounded like there was support in review of those exemptions. You're just not certain of the appropriate party to do that.
Exactly.
That's correct, yeah. So Jennifer, you're okay with the motion that Mr. Walmart made? Do you need a second?
Yes, we need a second.
Wait,
Okay.
what's the motion? I know it's neutral.
No,
Support in concept.
So the motion is, take a support in concept, position on the bill the concepts that are supported are that the medical exemptions be reviewed in some manner, and that the medical board will be able to obtain the documents via the release, via the exemption on the exemption form as it's stated right now in the bill.
Is there anything we're adding on the CPCH?
Oh yeah, sorry, and that the CDC, yeah, that would be something that we need to work with them at, and that's not your support in concept, that's what language you would need to work with the author's office in changing, that it's too narrow for the CDC guidelines.
Okay.
May I just make a comment? So really being very clear, this issue of the CDPH on this motion is that we're not supporting that at this point because there isn't enough information. We don't want that to go to a state regulator. Is that what we're intending? Now, putting these exemptions forward, we're trying to get the records, and we're trying to find a way to do that, as opposed to put things in a database. This is why I'm a little bit, there's a lot going on here. There's a lot in the bill.
Oppose it.
So Kim, can you do a restatement?
Yes, so from what I had heard earlier, the issue with the medical exemption review was that you didn't want it to be the California Department of Public Health, or you had some concerns with that. So it would be going back and looking at that area of it. So the medical exemption review, you believe that it needs to be reviewed, but you're just not sure of who that entity would be. Then the second thing is that the CDC guidelines are too narrow, and so you would want some broadening of what that information would look like. And then the issue of the medical board being able to obtain the medical records, you want the medical board to be able to get those medical records, which will be on the form as it's currently indicated. And I think that's everything that's covered.
I'd like them to really work on the detail of how to implement and protect those data, because We don't want a kid who is legitimately exempted and potentially be discriminated by school because some school may find out they're exempt for a reason they don't want to be in the school. So I think we need to give very serious thought about how they can get data, but how do they use it, how do they safeguard it. So, thank you.
Exactly.
Okay, so when I write the support and concept letter, I'm basically gonna say what we support, but if I don't have exact amendments, I can't work. Medical exemption be reviewed and that the medical board obtain the records so we can do our investigations. And then we would have to come, you know, at the next meeting, talk about possible alternatives for the other things. Just to be clear, so you know how my letter's gonna be drafted.
I actually, Jennifer, I agree with you. I think we agree. The only things we should be supporting is which we are very clear about.
Right.
We're not clear what the amendments are, we're not clear what the role of CDPH is, so I think we should support what the concept with that, and then we'll take up at the next in-person board meeting, whatever happens.
May? Is that May, Dr. Bolat?
No.
Yes, no.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, sorry.
Ms. Friedman?
I'm sorry, this is Lori. Can you repeat that one more time, what the motion is?
So it's a support and concept, supporting the support for medical board to be able to get the records, so it will be on the exemption form to release the medical records, and support a medical exemption review, however, by some entity at that point.
Okay.
So should I start over with Dr. Bolat? Just continue. Ms. Friedman?
Yes.
Dr. Gananadeb?
Yes.
Dr. Hawkins?
Yes.
The motion passes.
Okay. We are on our final agenda item, which is adjournment. And we no longer have any business meeting. So I want to thank everybody for coming. Those who are the leaders in the locations, if you can, let's see. Hello?
Lori's still here.
So we can collect the list of the individuals that were present. If you can collect those lists, this meeting is now adjourned.
Thank you.
I want to ask you a question.
So we
I want to ask
Hello?
that lady a question.
Hello?
The one.
Do we fax the list back to the main office?
Yes, if you could send that to us, that would be great, Doctor. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
This is the operator. Thank you everyone for your participation as the conference is concluded.
You're not allowed to express all of the concerns.
Because we
That's not how the position works. So support a concept, you have to say what you, if we are going to express concerns, we'd have to take a opposed position or opposed unless amended position. It has to follow with the position. So there's like, these are our options. It's basically support if amended, neutral, which means just like you don't care either way and there's no amendments, oppose, outright oppose unless amended. But if we do an unless amended, we actually
This is for all bills. This is the position we're in, for all bills.
So I do feel like you guys have that knowledge and that base, and you guys still had questions. These are a lot of people who don't have the medical knowledge. And so for you to raise questions,
I'm sorry, everyone. I had to leave. I just can't even deal with these fucking people at all. I hope all that got recorded because I'm so angry right now. I just can't even see straight. So the medical board, after listening to 3 hours of opposition, and 3 of the board members, I think there was like 7 or 8 board members, 2 of them voted no to not support it, 1 abstained, and they brought up the concerns that we brought up. And the lady who's writing the letter is saying that she's not going to bring up any of the concerns. She's just going to say, because they don't have amendments to offer up, so they're not going to convey the concerns. That makes no sense. So we were heard more than we've been in the legislature, that's for sure. Those doctors hear us, and those doctors are concerned. The only part of it that they supported was to have the medical board be able to subpoena our children's records and for them to medical exemptions to be reviewed somehow. And they didn't agree with any other part of it. They didn't agree with the database. They were concerned with the privacy issues. They didn't agree with the CDPH being the body reviewing the exemptions. They didn't agree with the CDC contraindications. They were agreeing with us that they're too narrow, but they were too cowardly to oppose the bill. And then the lady who's writing the letter straight up said that she's not going to include any of the concerns in the letter. So I'll see you all tomorrow in Sacramento, 10 a.m.